A wonderful good day here from the Maidan Square in Kiev in summer 2020 during the Russian invasion. Although it is quite peaceful here in the city, and since we came here last week, I had to remember my first visit to Kiev a couple years ago, 5 years to be exact, in 2017. But this story is not about Ukraine, although it is also part of it. It's more about Belarus and Russia, because after I stayed 3 months in Ukraine, I was in Odessa and Kiev. I wanted to visit Belarus. So welcome to Belarus. So I went to the embassy here in Kiev and applied for a visa. They didn't ask me any questions, it was easy. Forgot the price, it was $60. So I took the bus to Minsk, where I stayed for about a week. In Minsk it was also very beautiful. It's like a Soviet style, although I had a problem and had to pay a fine of $110 already in Minsk, because I haven't been registering at the police within 7 days after my arrival. Although I knew about that, I told my landlady, but she was very busy, and then we went on the 8th day, 1 day late, because she didn't have time before, and then I had to pay a fine of $110. And the landlady had to pay $35. She was also mad, but after all it was her fault. But anyway, that was not the point. A month earlier, when I was in Germany, I applied for a Russian visa through an agency. It was easier. I didn't have to go to the embassy, sent them a passport, paid about $100 and received it back with the Russian visa. So I had a valid Russian visa and a valid Belarusian visa, and I was in Minsk. And from Minsk I wanted to travel to St. Petersburg. There is a direct train from Minsk to St. Petersburg. It's an overnight train and you sleep in the train. Since I had visas for both countries, I assumed that it would go smooth. But then, when I was on this train, I mean, they could have said something, you know, they let me board, they checked my passport. They knew that I'm not Russian or Belarusian. But at the border, there was not really a border. On the train, which was actually at the border, but there's not an official border where everybody gets off, there, a Russian soldier came on the train and woke me up. It was, I remember, midnight. I was sleeping, and he said, "Exit." Barely could speak English. Exit. And I said, okay. And I want to go. I thought it's like, oh, immigration. You get like a stamp to check your visa. And then he said, yeah, take luggage, take bags. Yeah. And I said, all right. So I went off the train. And the confusing part was that only me and 3 other people had to leave the train. And then the train departed. So I was very scared, nervous. I thought, what's wrong? You know, why the train departs without us? And the other persons also couldn't speak English, were assumed to be Ukrainians. Then this Russian soldier, was only one guy, he led us onto another train in a different direction. And then I already knew that something was wrong. So I was just taken off the train to St. Petersburg at the border in Belarus. So now maybe they're going to send me back to Minsk. Although I couldn't communicate with them because I don't understand Russian or Ukrainian. So after about 2 stations, they let us off the train and loaded us into a military truck. It's crazy. Yeah, there were soldiers, and they took us into this truck. Nobody could speak English, by the way. One of the Ukrainians only had one eye. That was really strange. And then they took us to a military camp. Yeah, it was totally guarded with barbed fences. So now we're waiting here in some room. Some kind of military bases. They took us off the next train station and landed us onto a military truck and took us here. And we were really waiting for half hour. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see what happened next. But the time it was already, I think, 1:30, and we had no idea what's going on. So we were in the cell all together. We couldn't communicate because they couldn't speak English and I couldn't speak Ukrainian. And then in the morning, I haven't slept at all, they called one by one. It is 4:20 a.m. and I'm still waiting here. I feel like being tortured. They just picked up the Ukrainian women and brought them somewhere with a car. This Ukrainian guy is going to be interviewed. I don't know, they talk about half hour with each person. And I'm going to be the next one. I have no idea what happened next. I expect there might be some fine and they send us back to Minsk. It's really crazy. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, first there was a lady. So there were 2 women, a guy with one eye and me. So they first called a lady. to there, then the other lady, and then I think maybe 45 minutes later it was me. It was almost 7 at the time, and then they loaded me into this chief's office of this Russian, with lots of stars, and people who came by, they were saluting, So I was the high-ranked officer, and he told me, "You no allow go Belarus, Russia, not allowed, illegal. Yeah, you must go Ukraine, Russia, or Latvia, Estonia, Russia. Yeah, you have to pay money, you have to pay fine." So what? I said, "I have a visa. How do I know? Nobody told me." And the lady in the train, like when I bought the ticket and when I bought the train, they both checked my passport and they didn't told me anything. I haven't had to pay cash right away. He gave me a paper, and the fine was about 1,000 ruble, I think. It was about €30 at the time. I don't remember exactly. And I could pay it by bank transfer. But I think, of course, if I wouldn't have paid it, I could have gotten in trouble because I was still traveling in Russia. So after this happened, they loaded us back onto the truck and drove us to the border in no man's land. There was no train station, no bus station. We asked, how do we get back to Minsk? And he's like, hitchhike, Shit, so it was 7 a.m. or 7:30, I forgot the time, it's already a couple of years ago. And we were waiting for a car to come. Most cars just went through to Russia, but then one guy, I think he came from Slovakia, he also couldn't enter Russia. Yeah, so he had the same problem. So it's not just for German, for all nationalities, because apparently the Belarusian-Russian border is only for these nationalities. Luckily we got this guy, and then we sat on the back with the one guy with one eye and the ladies. We didn't got the border, so we're now going to Latvia with people who cannot speak any English, so it's very, very nice. We found a driver who goes straight to Latvia, and we'll see how it goes. So it's been already more than 24 hours spending in this wonderful car. And we drove all the way back to Ukraine, and then from Ukraine to the Russian border, which was the longest border. I had to wait 7 hours, and then all the way up from Ukraine to St. Petersburg. So the entire journey took us, not including the train, 36 hours in the car. Unbelievable, so long. And the total trip was maybe 2 days, from Minsk when I departed. I got arrested, and until we got the car through the Ukrainian border, Belarus border, and then all the way up to St. Petersburg. It was super long. And when I arrived, I realized that I haven't eaten for 24 hours, which was the first time in my life. And since I heard that 3-day fasts are very healthy, I decided to fast 2 more days. And that was my first 3-day fast in my life under these circumstances. Crazy story. After all not so bad. I had to pay the $30 to the bank in Russia. It was easy. It was my only time in my life. I got arrested. I hope never again. It was a bit scary, but not too bad. Yeah, I still had a wonderful time, in fact, in Russia. I traveled with the Trans-Siberian Express all the way to Mongolia. It was a wonderful journey. I really love Russia. People were very, very hospitable, very nice. So I'm very sad that they're having a conflict now, because I love Russians, I love Belarusians, I love Ukrainians, I love all these nationalities. They're all great people. It's just the governments who have problems. So anyway, I hope I could visit Russia again, or Belarus as well in the future. I hope there will be peace soon. But now I'm enjoying my time here in the Ukraine. And I want to thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know, what was your craziest story you experienced while you traveled? Thanks for watching.